A narcissist can handle almost anything. Anger, fuel. Tears, useful. Arguments, entertainment. Even walking away doesn't always stop them, because many people leave physically while staying emotionally available, still thinking about them, still explaining them, still trying to be understood by them. And as long as that connection exists, the game is still being played. But there is one type of person that narcissists consistently avoid, not because they're aggressive, not because they're intimidating, not because they know every manipulation tactic, but because something inside them has changed. A narcissist can feel it almost immediately. The person no longer needs anything from them. Not approval, not validation, not closure, not understanding, nothing. And when a narcissist realizes that, their entire strategy begins to collapse, because manipulation only works when there is something to pull. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why, and the final behavior I reveal may explain why some people become completely immune to manipulation after what they've been through. Most people misunderstand narcissists. They think narcissists fear exposure, consequences, boundaries, being confronted. Sometimes those things matter, but experienced manipulators have responses for all of them. Call them out, they call you emotional. Set a boundary, they call you selfish. Expose them, they become the victim. Ignore them, they find another way to become visible. They have rehearsed these situations hundreds of times. What they fear is something far more difficult: a person whose emotional center is no longer located outside themselves. Think about that carefully. Most people place pieces of their identity in other people's hands. Do they like me? Do they approve of me? Do they understand me? Do they respect me? The narcissist's entire system depends on those questions, because if someone else controls your self-worth, they can influence your behavior. But what happens when they don't? What happens when your identity is no longer negotiable? That's where the problem begins for them. You've probably met this person before. The strange thing is, they rarely look powerful. They aren't the loudest person in the room. They don't dominate conversations. They don't announce their boundaries every 5 minutes. In fact, they often seem surprisingly ordinary until pressure appears. That's when something different happens. A manipulator criticizes them. They listen. A manipulator withdraws approval. They continue. A manipulator attempts guilt. They consider it, then move on. And suddenly, the manipulator looks confused. Why? Because the emotional buttons aren't connected anymore. Imagine pressing a light switch and nothing happens. Again, nothing. Again, nothing. Eventually, you stop pressing. That is exactly what manipulation feels like when it encounters someone who has developed genuine emotional independence. And most of the time, that independence was earned the hard way. The 5 behaviors. Behavior 1. They do not rush to explain themselves. Quick test. When someone misunderstands you, do you immediately feel the need to defend yourself? Most people do, because misunderstanding feels dangerous. The emotionally independent person sees it differently. They know being misunderstood is uncomfortable, but they also know it isn't fatal. So they explain when useful and stay silent when it isn't. A narcissist hates this, because every explanation creates leverage, and leverage creates control. No explanation, no leverage. Behavior 2. Their silence is genuine, not strategic, not passive-aggressive, not punishment, just silence. And narcissists struggle with genuine silence because there is nothing hidden inside it, nothing to decode, nothing to manipulate, nothing to mirror. An empty hook catches nothing. Behavior 3. They trust their own memory. Think about how gaslighting works. It begins with one sentence, "That's not what happened." Then another, "You're remembering it wrong." Then another, "You're too sensitive." Eventually, the target stops trusting themselves, but the emotionally independent person maintains an internal record, not because they're stubborn, because they pay attention. A narcissist quickly realizes something. History cannot be rewritten when the witness remembers. Behavior 4. They stopped building their identity around approval. Notice I didn't say they never wanted approval. Everyone does. The difference is that approval no longer determines who they are. Praise doesn't define them. Criticism doesn't define them. So both become less powerful, and the manipulator loses one of their favorite tools. Behavior 5. They are the same person everywhere. Public, private, alone, observed, the same. Most manipulation depends on discovering a gap between what someone is and what they're pretending to be. The larger the gap, the easier the control. When the gap disappears, so does the entry point. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. People aren't usually born this way. They become this way, and the process is rarely pleasant. Many of the people narcissists struggle with today spent years being manipulated themselves, years explaining, years doubting, years seeking approval, years trying to be understood, until eventually something changed. Not because they became cold, because they became clear. They learned that not everyone will understand them, not everyone will approve of them, not everyone will treat them fairly. And strangely enough, accepting those facts made them stronger, because manipulation feeds on resistance. The more desperately you need something from another person, the easier it becomes to control you. But when you stop needing what they're offering, the transaction ends. So here is the real question. Not whether you can spot a narcissist, not whether you know their tactics, not whether you can identify manipulation. The real question is this: what do you still need from people who hurt you? An apology? Validation? Closure? Understanding? Justice? Because wherever that answer exists, manipulation still has a doorway. And wherever that doorway closes, manipulation loses its power. Narcissists do not fear strong people. They do not fear angry people. They do not fear intelligent people. They fear people who no longer need anything from them, because those people cannot be pulled, cannot be baited, cannot be controlled. And the moment you understand that, you stop focusing on the narcissist and start building the one thing they can never overcome: a self that does not require their permission to exist. This is Mind Authority. Subscribe, and next week we'll explore the psychological patterns that reveal a manipulator before they ever show their true face.